So today, UConn had a good win. They had a really, really good win. And Paige Bueckers, ironically enough, she had a good game. And one of Paige Bueckers' biggest strengths is also, in my opinion, her biggest weakness. And the reason why I'd be so reluctant, not in necessarily taking her number one, but giving her the keys to the franchise. Because Paige Bueckers might be the LeBron James of Derek White's. Like, Paige is the ultimate role player. And simply put, that is what she is best at. That is what she does. And it's funny because the things that Paige Bueckers is being praised for are the reason why UConn have lost so many games. Like, it just is. And it's the reason why, in my opinion, I think she should be doing everything she can to go to Dallas. Because you've got Enrique beside you. You've got a player who's going to do most of the work on the offensive end. And you get to do little bits and pieces. Which is what, in fairness, for Paige, she's best at. And you see here, Paige Bueckers has gone down to 18.7 points per game. Her shooting has gone down. Her 3-point shooting has gone back down to earth. And look, she's always going to shoot a high percentage because she doesn't take bad shots. And that's a great thing and a negative thing. In today's game, she had a near triple-double in 35 minutes on bad shooting, which again is a great thing about her game. And in today's game, she did exactly what was needed. Her team won by 30, and even though she wasn't shooting the ball well, she made sure to get the ball to the players that were shooting it well. I didn't think she forced anything, and she had an all-around game, a really good team player in a system where, you know what, like team ball kind of rules all for UConn and destroying South Carolina. But she's just another player. And I mean that. I've watched so many UConn games this year. Paige Bueckers is just another player. She's a damn good one. But when you see UConn, as in the games they've lost, and I understand that UConn, you can look at box scores, and I'm not going to look at box scores. To Notre Dame, they lose by 11 points. In fairness, I didn't think she was too bad down the stretch in that game. The better player was just Hidalgo. Hidalgo just won that game for them down the stretch. Against USC, Paige Bueckers, basically, she carried them back in the game in the third quarter. She took a pull-up three, an ill-advised pull-up three, and she missed it. And I just thought to myself, yes. Like, in the Notre Dame game, the big problem with Paige is that she just won't take bad shots. And you have to be willing to take bad shots if you're going to be a number one or a number two option on a team. Especially when the going gets tough. And in that USC game, the fourth quarter, as soon as she missed that pull-up three, it became, let me make the right play. Well, basketball is about the team mostly that gets the better quality shots will win a game. Unless it's close down the stretch. Then a lot of the time, it's about who's willing to step up and hit the shot. And Paige just hasn't been. And we saw today where it's like she shoots badly and she can do a whole bunch of other things. So she doesn't have to be assertive and take over a game. Just like against Tennessee. Against Tennessee, she was terrible. Like, she was absolutely terrible. And today, until garbage time, she had 7 points. And like, she had, again, she passed the ball well. She was a really good point guard. And you can just, if you look at box scores, you're like, when she needs to be, she's a scorer. When she needs to be, she's a facilitator. And, she can do kind of a bit of everything. And it's like, when she needs to take over a game, she can't. And that's the problem with Paige. She has become a system player. The Hopkins Paige is gone. Freshman Paige is gone. The Paige that beat Baylor, like, almost by herself is gone. The Hopkins Paige that knew she was the best player in the world is gone. Paige Bueckers is acting like she's just another player. Like, obviously today, AZ4 was brilliant. But in down the stretch in games, you're seeing Chen getting better, shooting as many shots as Paige. You're seeing Paige defer to a 19-year-old Sarah Strong, who's exceptional. And today's game just showed why. Is that Paige, when Paige isn't shooting well, and I understand there are positives and negatives to shooting while you're in a slump. When Paige is not shooting well, she's willing to just go, it's not my day and pass. And in some situations, that can be a huge positive, like today. Gets everyone else involved, runs the point, goes and wins the game. But is that a franchise player? No, it's not. And it's funny because everything that people are applauding Paige Bueckers for is the best you'll see for like a fourth option on a team. She might be the greatest third option of all time. But she'll need to go to the right situation. And the reason why it's so frustrating is that this was not Paige Bueckers a few years ago. You had the most confident player in all of college basketball lose all her confidence. She has no confidence in herself down the stretch. And today's game frustrated me because when she wasn't shooting well, it was, okay, I'm going to be the facilitator. Not, I'm going to stay aggressive. Like, she makes so many decisions and none of them are with aggression. Like, none of the decisions, none of the things she does is due to aggression on the floor. She's got none. She's got all the skill in the world. And I mean that. Paige Bueckers, as far as guards are concerned, with her defense, with her handle, with her IQ, with her ability to move off the ball, with her shooting, other than pull-up threes, her mid-range game, Paige Bueckers is the most skilled guard that has come into the WNBA since Enrique, but she's much bigger than Enrique, better defender than Enrique. She should be the best guard to come into the WNBA since ever. Ever. She should be better. She does more well on the floor than Caitlin Clark. And I'm not saying she's better than Caitlin Clark. She's not. Because everything Caitlin Clark does is with aggression on the offensive end. Nothing Paige Bueckers does. There is no, like, she is turning into the super role player. This is someone who was a Nike shoe in college. She is turning into the super role player. She wasn't even like this last year. Like, she's become super role player. And you can take that you can take that how you want. Like, that can be a positive thing. You could argue her being super role player will help UConn win this year. And if they're going to blitz everyone by 30, sure. But down the stretch, she has not yet shown she's able to do anything with aggression. Down the stretch, she's not yet shown she can take over a game. This current version of Paige. Don't talk about Paige last year, talk about Paige the previous year. Definitely don't talk about freshman Paige. Because that player doesn't exist anymore. And whether or not you think this modern version is better, the Paige Bueckers that people thought was going to be a generational player is gone. She has got generational basketball ability, but it's the way she plays. She overthinks everything. And sometimes in a game like this where your team is doing well, your teammates are playing great, the way Paige is better. And you're able to do that when you're surrounded by 5-stars. When you're surrounded by you have 2 other number 1 recruits and a whole bunch of top 5 recruits, you can do that. But when the going gets tough, when it's a close game, and you're needed to put the team on your back, she hasn't done it this year. And the worst part is that Paige was able to do that. Paige previously was able to do that, which is the most frustrating thing. And we're even seeing it today. Like, a lot of people praising her game today, being like she wasn't shooting well, so she did everything else well. And I'm like, I understand the positives for that. But bigger picture, she has become so accustomed to let me figure out, I'm not doing this well, let me figure out what way I can help the team. And I understand if you are the third best player on the team and you're a role player, going and doing that. But if she's expected to be a number 1 pick, a generational, a franchise player, your franchise player cannot decide if they miss 3 shots in a row, I'm going to be a facilitator today. In sport, if at the high pro level, if you are a franchise player, you got to be a franchise player. And Paige Bueckers is a super role player. And you can take that as an insult, you can take that as a positive thing. But she's super role player. And that's fine. She's going to be there will be a stage in Paige Bueckers' career where she's the third best player on a championship team. That's not a knock on Paige. I think she's going to win. But I also think someone like a Caitlin Clark is going to win as the guy. Like, as the franchise player. Whereas Paige Bueckers is going to be good. She's going to be real good. But she's just going to be another player forgotten about. Which is, I watch freshman Paige. That's why this is so frustrating. Because Paige and Caitlin Clark, Paige should have been as good as Caitlin, but she's just not. She's just not.